What's up, guys? It's me, BM911, and I wanted to discuss something that I've been planning out / thinking about for a long time. And I want to discuss something first. What this is this is the basic general ideas of a video game, an MMORPG that I've been wanting to make for a long time. But obviously, since I'm in culinary, I'm obviously going to be focusing trying to get a job in culinary. But I was planning on going back to college, maybe if I thought, culinary was not a good enough field for me to have a sensible career in, and go back and start learning how to design video games. And now, obviously that's not going to happen for a while, or if it does, I've got a lot of time in between, so I wanted to release this one idea I had, because I had two fantastic game ideas for a long time, and I wanted to kind of release this one to kind of let the public hear it, kind of give the idea to somebody, as well as if somebody really thinks they want to take advantage of it, they can come contact me and I'll give them all additional information and details. But I'm going to kind of start off by going into two things. Is that one I want to say is the reason I'm putting this under the use your brain category of our video sections, because there's a lot of things I'll talk about during making this game that are features in a game that kind of, if you were to use them in your own game, people would use them and play them for long periods of time, as well as like a StarCraft game, it would go on for many years. It wouldn't just die out after you made the next version or the next in your series. It's a thing that would stay very active, much like World of Warcraft or Final Fantasy XI, if anybody even knows what the hell that is. So, I wanted to discuss also, the first idea is that I will be, a lot of times during the series, I will be referencing things that are related to other games. Now, I want to be very clear as possible and say that anything I have said is a vocalization of my own opinion or things that I've thought of. I've never used anybody else's idea and tried to claim it as my own. And if at times I will say that I have an idea and it's from somebody else, I will most likely reference them. If I do not, then you can kind of call me out on it. But majority of the time, if not 99.99% of the time, it will be from my own opinion. Now, the other thing is I'm going to be using a lot of Halo terms so that people can kind of get a reference of what I'm talking about. And because, obviously, I can't really sell this idea to Bungie, because Bungie is really no longer in charge of the Halo franchise, as well as 343. They're not going to listen to me, some guy sitting in his bedroom making videos. They're not going to listen to me, but, however, I can kind of vocalize the idea, give some developers, and any new indie game developers an idea, as well as if you think you could make this, and you want to get in contact with me and you get more information, I'll gladly do that with you. So, I'll explain that at the very end of the video, but I wanted to talk about this. So, the first thing I'm going to discuss is the spawning system. It's a very simple idea, and it's going to be a reference in terms of with Halo, most of the idea. So, to begin with, instead of giving you a good and a bad choice in spawning systems, you're going to be given multiple types of variations. For example, most of the time you'll have the UNSC, and then you'll have the elites, as you hear in most campaigns. But instead of just doing that, I want to give people more options. I want to give them a regular UNSC soldiers. I want to give them rebel soldiers of the UNSC. And then I also want to give, dropouts or, deserters of the UNSC or any other types of factions that are involved. Basically, types of people that have decided that they don't agree with the systems placed in front of them. Therefore, they decide to take up matter in their own arms. And they're not necessarily good, but at the same time, they're not bad at all. It's just kind of playing the gray areas. That way some people can kind of hover on the idea of treason on the human race, or as well as, they focus on trying to bring down tyrannical people. And it's just a really cool idea. And then on the other side of it, the aliens, you would obviously have your elites, or your just regular bad guys who are following a tyrannical leader and just following orders, and your leaders are your main targets to always try to kill, but you can't ever really get to them. The other one is, the heretics, that people who oppose this idea, and the war is obviously a control war. The aliens want to control the entire world so that they can have the entire enemy races of all planets bow down to them. And that's one of the things that people like to hear is, one supreme force going against another force of power. And so, you'd have that, and then you'd have, heretics, and then you'd have other factions, much like the humans. And it kind of makes a really good, interesting idea. Instead of it all just being one versus one side, it gives it a little bit of a free-for-all feel of it as well, because some of the people might not be opposed to any ideas, and they go for a free-for-all. It gives really cool feel to it and everything like that. And the other thing that I kind of wanted to bring up was that the other thing of the spawning system, which is going to add a little bit of a nice little feature to it, is that you'll make money in the game for things you do. For example, say you stop a supply run from coming in, you'll get money for that. Say you kill an enemy soldier, you get money for that. And say you get a headshot, you'll get money for things. And based off of like money that you get affects how you spawn. So for example, we're going to use the UNSC as the most basic thing. You'll have, like, for example, just 3 right now because I don't want to release the other couple of spawn ideas that I had. You'll have the choice of being a Marine, an ODST, or a Spartan. And the cool thing about that is that you can either purchase these types of things or you can do like a temporary spending on one of them. So for example, say you're always a Marine, you always like being a Marine. You spawn normally as a Marine, it's the cheapest thing to buy because they're obviously not that advanced in terms of training and suits and weaponry. So that's just your normal thing, and then you could probably like upgrade, and that's one of the things I don't want to release right now. Is just what the upgrades would be. Is that you could upgrade the type of Marine that you are, and then the next tier would be like ODST, so that you could have ODST like Stormtrooper type deals with not in terms of Star Wars like Stormtrooper is, and like they fall out of the sky, orbital drop, or you could have regular like specialists or snipers type of thing like in the game ODST. And then the other one would be Spartan spawns, which in speaking in terms of like regular, not the Halo game, would be just a simple guy in a suit, a really advanced mechanist suit, and then he gets really powerful, and he obviously can do things like, for example, in this video right now, is say these Falcons were personnel Falcons, and you could drop people off. Obviously, you would want to drop off a small little group of your strongest people, and that's what the Spartan would do. You take your Falcon or Pelican and you go fly in and just drop them off, and they would be your storm units, and they would go and take things by force with only small numbers. But the thing is that because Spartans would be so strong and overpowering, you would have to make the charge rate of those so insanely expensive that people would just prefer to buy the temporary thing, which will allow you to be a Spartan for like 1 or 2 hours. That's just a really cool idea. And the other really quick idea that I wanted to bring forth as the last part for the first episode, because the second episode will be up almost right after this video, is I, in Halo, loved flying. I thought the idea of taking a Pelican and picking up people in the Pelican and just dropping them off and then flying away was one of the most phenomenal ideas ever. And I think in a video game, that's something that people like to do and they want to do, but nobody's ever really embarked on that idea just yet, of personnel drop-offs. And in the game would be, you would get a type of transport Falcon, or you would get, just regular Pelicans, where you'd have your regular turrets on them and such and such. And one of the cool things about being in a Pelican, for the reference here, is that instead of being just some small helicopter flying off, you're taking a whole, 12 people and dropping them off into a situation. And obviously it's going to be during a live fire, so there's going to be things shooting at you. So part of this refers to how skilled you are as a pilot, as well as how upgraded your pilot is, or how upgraded your Pelican is. And it's a really funny idea because nobody else is really taking on the idea except for Battlefield 1942, I believe. And even doing that, there's a lot of features you can give people, which I won't go into detail right now. Bruce is a douchebag for killing me now, but that's it for now. And then I'm going to have part 2 uploaded really soon, and it's going to talk about clans, and a really cool idea I had for clans. And when I say the words clans, I mean in terms of clans or guilds or link shells if you played Final Fantasy. It's a really cool idea, and I guarantee people will like the idea. And then, so the last thing I wanted to say before I end this is that if somebody wants to use this idea, has a real interest in this idea, come contact me. You send me a private message, and if you are a real indie game developer or a real game developer, the chances are slim to 0 or 0 at most. And if you like the idea, contact me. We'll discuss any personal matters, and if you feel like you have the experience or want to make this game, I'll stop doing the video series. I'll give you all my notes, and we'll have a serious discussion about the issue. So that's it for now, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed, and don't forget that episode 2 will be pretty cool, and I guarantee you'll like everything that comes out of this part of the series, because a lot of these things are features that people want to play with, and people like. If a game actually delivered them, it would be a game that lasts for 10 years or more. much like StarCraft games. So that's it for now. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys later.